Stanton and the Miami Marlins travel to New York to face the Mets.
Left right field towards the corner.
The pregame's at 3:30 Eastern, followed by first pitch at 4:30. Saturday on ESPN Radio.
We're coming to you from the DraftKings.com podcasting studios. DraftKings.com, America's one-day fantasy sports site, where it's like a new season every time you play. DraftKings.com.
From ESPN's Pod Center, this is NBA Lockdown.
Welcome into another edition of the NBA Lockdown podcast, alongside Ramona Shelburne, Cari champion, and Amin Elhassan. I'm Jorge Sedano. Coming up in just a little bit, we'll talk about Game 2 of the Eastern Conference Finals. We've got some candidates, or a candidate specifically, to discuss with the New Orleans Pelicans job. But first, folks, we start off with the Western Conference Finals. Game 2, the Warriors up 2-0. And the question is, timeout or no timeout? Ramona, Cari, which one would you like to start? Ladies first.
No timeout.
Okay,
no timeout. You know what? Listen, if you've watched the Rockets play this year, you know that Kevin McHale is a guy who lets his team play. I mean, the reason why the Rockets are good is because they play downhill. They get out and run, and they play downhill, and when they're in the fast break, that's when it's really tough to stop them. They're not a half-court team. I mean, that's not how that offense is built. So why change in that last possession the way you've been all year?
Is it my turn now? I didn't know. I don't know.
Yes, it is.
Is it my turn now, Ro-Ro? Okay, so actually,
Yeah,
wait a second. People don't call you Ro-Ro, do they?
You can call me Ro-Ro.
I mean, because I like the way that sounds. I think
You can call me
That's
Ro-Ro.
a nice way of
Cari.
saying no.
It's the way you say it. I kind of like it when you call me that. People call me Momo on the radio. I guess that's like my new name or something like that. But I like it when you call me Ro-Ro too. I can have like.
Well, now that Cari is Cari is tight with Beyonce, she can just call us whatever she wants.
Yeah, no, because I'm actually getting ready to get picked up in a helicopter. That's why I have to get out of here soon. So let me just weigh in on this.
No. Are you're tight with Beyonce? Like I might just have a little girl freak out over here.
Wait a second. You missed this? Seriously? You didn't know this?
How did I miss this? How did I miss this?
Wait a second. Ro-Ro, have you not been on my IG page? Have you not watched his and hers? Anybody who is listening will know I am best friends with B now.
Oh my goodness! I can't even. I don't know that I can concentrate.
It's Queen B. It's Queen B and Queen C. That's what we got now.
That's what we're doing right now. Okay. All right. I guess. Fine, Ro-Ro. I am so disappointed in Ro-Ro right now. I thought you were at Reporter. I thought you were on your beat.
You know what it's like? I'm not even up on anything right now.
What is going on? What is going on? Okay, so I think no timeout. Back to the topic at hand. I think the Splash Brothers did well. I think Curry played great D, and I think at the end of the day, Harden just was nervous. I think he lost track of who he was. He threw it to Dwight. Dwight got nervous, threw it back to him. And I think that these kids should know what was going on. They weren't ready. They weren't built for it. They weren't built for this life like me and B.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, I will toss this to you. I look at it this way, and I know we're parsing things here, and it's completely unfair to have this discussion. But if you're Harden and I can't even stay serious here, and you see the double team.
Nobody can.
You said it. I saw the red jersey.
All my single ladies. All my single ladies. All my single ladies. All my single ladies.
I like it, then you better put a ring on it. Oh my gosh. I'm freaking out over here. Like if you ever saw me go to a Beyonce concert and put a camera on me, oh my gosh.
Talk about it, Ro-Ro.
Oh
I'm sorry, George.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Back to the topic at hand. I'm sorry.
So Harden says he sees a red jersey, and then at that point, once you notice it's Dwight, and you've still got a couple of seconds left on the clock, don't you just automatically call timeout? Because those two guys ain't going anywhere in front of you.
Yeah, it's so, first of all, to answer the original question, I also go no timeout. Part of it is what Ramona said. This is a downhill team. They flourish in transition. And the other thing is you're playing the number one defense in the NBA. And if you call a timeout and let them get the right personnel out there and be able to switch and do all the things they like to do, that makes life a lot more difficult. They had the advantage running down court. I thought Harden was
right, but they didn't have the advantage. Once he passed it to Dwight, and there's 4 seconds left on the clock.
I haven't gotten to that point yet. I'm just saying, once they're running down court and Harden's got the ball in his hands, I'm thinking, oh, he's going to come down here and score because it's so discombobulated. The Warriors wisely come to the double. Harden, out the corner of his eyes, sees a red jersey. I don't blame him for throwing it to Dwight. I thought it was Terrence Jones myself, and I'm watching on TV.
Yeah.
So he threw it to a dude who thought, oh, this is a perfect play. It just so happens, and I'll give you a great example. Way back in the days, on like Live 98, one of my buddies, we used to play, and it's my buddy Desmond. He used to always lose every single game he played. It didn't matter, and it was always in a spectacularly heartbreaking fashion. And he used to take the Sonics. My buddy Will used to take the Lakers. And there's this game where my boy Desmond was up 1 with the Sonics. He starts raising the roof and said, Des, do not raise the roof. That is bad luck. My boy Will comes down, throws it to Glenn Rice in the corner, who hits the corner 3 to win the game. And we're like, oh, my God, it's heartbreaking. We watched the replay, and it wasn't Glenn Rice. It was Shaq. Shaq hit the corner 3 to win the game. This is exactly the same thing. He threw it to a dark-skinned dude who's bald in the corner, thinking it was Glenn Rice. Turns out it was Shaq. This is the same thing right here. It looked like it was Terrence Jones until you throw it and say, oh, I knew you guys should all got the same haircut, you know. And then it's Terrence Jones, and then it's Dwight Howard. And then that's the point, George, you're right. Once Dwight Howard catches it and says, I am nowhere near my comfort zone here, it's called a timeout.
He threw that ball away like it was diseased.
Yeah,
like,
it was.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was.
He could not have gotten rid of that thing faster.
Yeah, it was really unfortunate to see. It was little kid stuff. I needed a grown man on the court with me at that moment.
But here's the thing. Like, I'm going to defend Dwight a little bit. Like, that guy, when you watch him run down the court with that knee injury, I mean, he was, like, dragging his leg the whole game. I don't think that was peak Dwight at all. And, you know, I think people go, oh, he was afraid in the moment. I don't know. He wasn't. I think he was more just getting through the game and not wanting to take that shot when he's, 50% out there.
Yeah, no, Ramona, here's what I would say. If it was Shaq, if it was Wilt Chamberlain, there's any number of great big men that we would never question their heart. If they caught in that situation, they wouldn't do anything with it. They'd pass it to the closest guard. He's not Dirk. What's he going to do 20 feet away from the basket? Now, I will say he probably should have called timeout once he figured that out. Throwing it back to Harden probably it killed time, and then Harden should have just called timeout right then. But I get it. Once you get into the fluster and the flurry of everyone around and all the pressure, it's easy to lose your head. But I will say one last thing. Maybe it was the curse of Little B that made it happen.
The base
you guys don't
curse.
know about that. Yes. Yes.
How am I up on this one and not up on Cari and Beyonce's romance here?
You apparently were just not on social media that day.
And I know about the Little B. Oh my gosh.
Well, you would listen.
Still
here.
recovering.
Look, Roro, we're still friends. And hold on, that's Beyonce on the phone right now. She wants to join the podcast. Can you guys punch her in? Can you guys punch her in?
Yeah, do it.
She told me they should have called timeout. Hold on, stand by. We can't. Okay, never mind. She says go for the timeout. I'm going with B.
The Little B curse is scary because we're going to have the Kevin Durant. I got to be honest. Hey, if I'm James Harden, it was funny. Everybody was clowning the Little B curse until that last play of the game on Twitter. That's all I'm saying. Don't mess with Little B. And all I'm saying is because I'm one of the 1.175 million people he follows too, so I don't want him messing with me. So, anyhow. All right, so let's do this. They're down 2-0, the Rockets, but they've played really great games. Do you give them a chance going back to Houston to at least make this some sort of series, Cari?
No, I absolutely give them a chance. They have, just like the Warriors, have the best home record during the postseason, and I think that they're going to win at least one game. They have to. They have no other alternative. Otherwise, it's a sweep. And so I definitely think they'll get one game. And it's because they had so much fight. It really did come down to that last possession and a brain fart, so to speak. So I'm going with the fact that they get game 3. They have to.
Roro?
I guess that's my new name.
Mm-hmm.
I think they get a game. I thought they would get a game the whole time because I think, they're a proud team. It's the number 2 seed, and you have confidence now if you rallied to beat the Clippers. But I think we all thought this series was probably a 5-game series. I saw a lot more from Houston in this first two games than I thought, because I'm one of those who just got done covering the Clippers and Rockets, and the Rockets, nobody really wants to give them credit for actually coming back against the Clippers because it was such a meltdown by the Clippers that that's all you focus on. But I think they got a lot of confidence in those last couple of games, particularly Game 7, and they kind of got back to playing the way they had all year. They need Dwight to be 100%, and he's not gonna be. So I just can't see them getting more than one game.
I mean, is it fair to say that this, and I agree with Ramona, that it may not be a long series, but it's going to be really competitive games within this potential short series?
Yeah, no, I think that's fair to say. The playoffs are a different animal. And, you get a higher level of concentration and effort from your guys. Most of the guys who've been there before. So it doesn't surprise me that Houston would elevate their level of play. But at the same time, I keep saying this. The Warriors have this ability, this spurt ability, if that's a word, to create these runs where they just put the game out of reach, even with a furious comeback at the end. And, again, it's built on their defense. It's not built on them hitting amazing shots. It's built on them being able to make stops. Now, last night, I thought Harden was magnificent. This is, by the way, I want to talk about this. A lot of people don't like the way James Harden plays. I always say you got to respect what he's able to do on the court, because it's not easy. If everyone could do it, they would do it. They can't. He does something that's very hard to do. But there's a reason. Back in January or whatever, when I was on His and Hers, someone asked me who my top 5 most entertaining players to watch. Harden wasn't on that list because he's a foul hunter. Last night, we got to see, I think, the James Harden that everybody loves. That's the James Harden we want to see, right? Not looking for fouls, not snapping his head back every play, but getting to the rim and either finishing or finding guys with incredible passes. That was really entertaining last night. But long story short, no, I think Houston wins one out of these next 2 games, and then Golden State wraps up in Game 5.
You know what was interesting, and you mentioned that about Harden? He had 17 drives in Game 2, which is his most in a game in the postseason this year. He got 10 points off those drives. But the other part, and we talked about this a little, and I know Izzy talked about this week with us too, which is Klay Thompson has had, at least during the regular season, had some real success against James Harden. And there was some limited success in Game 1, but he torched Klay Thompson yesterday. Yeah. I mean, I know he had the one block at the end late in the game, and obviously the double team, but he got most of his action off of Klay Thompson yesterday, which was really surprising.
He torched everybody, and whoever they put on him, he torched them. They put Harrison Barnes. They tried a little Iguodala. He lit everybody up. I think Draymond Green was the only guy who didn't get multiple cracks at you. I remember one switch they got, and he kind of forced them into a tough shot. But Harden was magnificent last night.
Yeah, so we'll see how this thing certainly turns out moving forward here as we get ready for Game 3 tomorrow in Houston. But we'll get to the Eastern Conference Finals in a bit. But we've got some news potentially in regards to the New Orleans Pelicans job. It looks like Alvin Gentry is set to interview. We know that John Calipari has repeatedly said he's not interested in the job. I think that's because they're not willing to give him $8 million a year and probably not give him total control. That's kind of my thing. But, Amin, Gentry's your boy. I know Ramona does a Gentry impersonation. So I feel like we need to let either the impersonation go or let Amin tape up for this guy first. I say we always go for comedy, Cari. I think you would agree with
100%.
me. 100%. I say we let Roro or Momo Ramona try to do her Gentry impersonation.
Well, the thing about Alvin is that, he tends to talk really slow, right? He's from Shelby, North Carolina. Okay. The thing, I can do it. You got to give me some material to work with, but really, when you talk to Alvin Gentry for any length of time, and he can hold court for 45 minutes after any practice, right, or any session or whatever it is, the man. You'll pick up on all these little things with him, but I think he's when I heard his name coming up for this job, for the Bulls job, for the Orlando job, it's funny to me because last summer there were so many jobs open he would have been great for, and it's one of those things like be glad of what didn't happen, right? When you look back on it. He was up for that Laker job, right? He was up for a lot of, where, you know, if he would have got that would have been the same story of his career, where you know, good coach, wrong situation.
Sure.
And I think these jobs that are open now are the right situation for a guy like that.
Hey, I'll tell you right now, Ramona. Hey, I'll tell you right now. Some of these jobs, hey, I'll tell you what. Hey, Cari Champion. Hey, Cari Champion. Here's you with Beyonce. Let me tell you, one time I was with Beyonce, we were having lunch, and she walked up, Jay-Z came up, and he said, hey, you have my new album. And
Mr.
I said,
Gentry, that's a lie.
Right
That's a lie, Mr. Gentry. You're not telling the truth. Go ahead.
Hey, Cari, I'll tell you what.
No, I'll tell you this. Go. I'll tell you you're lying. Go. Okay, go on. Okay, we're silly.
It's a little too fast. I think that's too fast. I mean, that's the thing about him. He thought,
That's excitable, Alvin, that I'm doing.
That's exciting.
Alvin,
You
the
gotta
whole
do like Shelby, North Carolina.
Yeah.
That's where I'm.
Well, when Alvin has a pre-prepared punchline, it always starts with, well, when they bombed Pearl Harbor, when the Germans bombed Pearl Harbor, we let them go.
That's good.
You know, that's what Alvin does. But you know, the funny thing is, you know, we joke, but what makes Alvin special as a candidate for any coaching job is I think he's got this incredible ability to connect with people. I tell this story. Actually, I was saying this, I believe, on this podcast, where I was talking about how Alvin, no matter who you are, he'll walk in a room and he'll find a common ground with you on some level or another.
The Ronnie Cycli story you told on the podcast was great.
Yeah.
Actually.
The Ronnie Cycli story is a great one. That's the one where he goes to Ronnie Cycli's house and you know, they're sitting by the pool, and Ronnie says, "Coach, would you like a drink?" And he says, "Sure." And then he calls Sebastian, who is Ronnie Cycli's manservant, who's lived with Ronnie Cycli since, you know, he was Ronnie Cycli's 10th birthday gift or something like that. Sebastian comes all the way from the house to the pool, and Ronnie Cycli says, "Can you give Coach a Coke?" And Sebastian opens the fridge that was literally right next to Ronnie Cycli, takes the Coke out and hands it to Coach. And I was like, "Come on, man." But
right. For those that don't know, Ronnie Cycli's family is like one of the richest families in Greece, so that's why he's got a servant since he was 10 years old.
Yeah. So, you know, the thing I was saying on the podcast was I was just talking about how Alvin can connect with people, you know, and then I got a tweet from one of the listeners afterward, and he said, "It's absolutely true. I walked into a donut shop, and Alvin was there, and there's a woman in front of him, and Alvin starts telling this woman how these are the best donuts he's ever had in the world, and they have this like 15-minute conversation about the best donuts they've had. And he walks out, and the woman had no idea who she was or who he was. He thought it was some random guy. Mm-hmm. And to me, that's the power of Alvin. It has nothing to do with him being a basketball coach. It has everything to do with him being able to connect with people on any level, no matter who you are. He'll find a common ground.
So the last few times I've been up to Oakland, I'll see Alvin at practice, and there's a restaurant right around the corner from where they practice, right around the Oakland Convention. It's called Gabriella's, a really good sandwich shop. And he goes over there like, at least 3 or 4 times a week, and they know him by name. I mean, he knows them by name. He sits there, and it's like they don't call him Mr. Gentry or Alvin. It's like he's just one of their friends, right? I mean, and this is the ladies who work at the sandwich shop. I mean, it's like, do you realize this is the offensive mastermind behind the Golden State Warriors, right? I mean,
no idea.
Like, we'll
they got no clue.
Have lunch. Yeah, no clue.
He's just a nice man. He's just a nice man who comes in and cracks some jokes. No, but now when you add that onto him being the offensive mastermind, him being such a great X's and O's guy, very prepared guy, knows players, I think that takes him to another stratosphere, because we've got coaches who are great X's and O's mind, but don't have the people skills. Like Tom Thibodeau, I would say, is like that. He doesn't have that people skills to get him by. And then there are guys who are Mr. Personality, but not so good at X's and O's.
Well, also, too, you think about these, you're talking about coaches, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I hear people talk about coaches who really can't do their jobs, and they're just lucky enough to have players. And, we can think of David Blatt, right? Or some people have said that about Spoelstra. So I think that he's the beauty in what you're talking, and I'm not caping for him. Just the beauty in Gentry is that he can do it all. It really works, and I think that he's going to be an excellent coach. It's going to be a good situation for him.
Well, I mean, so much of the modern NBA is about playing fast, having that kind of spread offense, right? And the NBA right now is like that's Chip Kelly's spread offense out there, right? It's spread, pick, and roll. And like Alvin and Mike D'Antoni were, along with Steve Nash, really, that's the sort of threesome who created that down in Phoenix all those years ago. I mean, everybody wants that now. So not only do you get that kind of offense, but you get a guy who is, unheralded, I think, as the you were there, I mean, as the reason why you can get Amari Stoudemire on the same page, as the guy who whispers to Sean Marion to fall in line, who soothes that ego, right? I mean, he was so important to that staff of just managing all the personality issues that they would have had in that team. And he's done that up in Oakland this year. I think, last year he was up for the Utah job, the Lakers job, the Cavs job, right? I mean, those if he would have ended up in those, I mean, obviously the Cavs job would have been different, but like this year you end up with some teams that are just crying out to play like that. I mean, Anthony Davis and the Pelicans. Sure. Can you imagine Anthony Davis getting out and running now and not having to call a play every time? Get out and play. I mean, that team's going to be scary if they run that type of offense. Or that young team down in Orlando with Victor Oladipo getting out on the break. Whew.
Yeah. I'll tell you right now, hey, we'll win some games now. Hey.
Well, listen, if you pair yourself with Anthony Davis, certainly you're going to be in good shape moving forward. I will. Can we get the Cape sound for 1 second? Can we Cape sound for 1 second? I just want to cape up for Eric Spoelstra because I feel like Cari slandered my man over there.
Yeah, go ahead.
In Miami a little bit.
Yeah, go ahead. You should. I've heard that about him. Go ahead, though.
Eric Spoelstra. Well, I don't know who you heard it from.
A player. A player, go ahead.
But he won 47 games with Michael Beasley as his second best player.
Listen,
so that's all I need to say about Eric Spoelstra.
I think he's
Michael Beasley.
He might be a great coach. I've heard from us players on the team that are all-stars that he's not that great. I'm sorry.
I think.
I'm sorry. Be honest. Who might these players be?
Now,
listen, I can tell you.
If I tell you,
we can talk about it off here.
If I tell you, I have to kill you. Know who I'm talking about, huh? You know who
I know who you're talking about for sure. Okay. Like we just can't say it here, but I know who you're talking about. But
George, let's have some food. Meet me here. And where you at? You at home right now?
I'm at home. I'm not on campus today.
Let's have a date. Meet me. Let's talk about this. I don't want to fight. I don't want to fight. I make love, not war, boo boo.
Only if Queen Bee shows up.
Queen Bee is here.
Queen Bee to show up.
Queen is here too. Hold on. She has pancakes. Yeah. Okay. Listen. Me and Beyonce, pancakes, George. Let's talk about it. I bet you be thinking like we think too.
How is George getting the Beyonce invite and I'm not? Like, how is that happening?
You didn't even know.
I would get on a plane to Bristol like
Romo.
In 20 minutes.
Romo. I'm combining both names. Romo, you are here, honey. What are you talking about? We're taking the chopper directly to you after we pick up George. So we're all straight.
This is like a dream right now.
Is that in general, NBA players don't like NBA coaches. I think for the most part, I would say 90% of them generally fall into those categories.
Okay. That's fair. No, that's fair. This could be wrong information. I could have wrong information.
No, it's not wrong. It could be that one person's feeling is what I'm saying. Yeah. And it could be multiple players' feelings.
By the way, that's the one thing about players. That's what I learned. Like, you ask them today, like, oh, you can't coach for nothing. And then you ask them, like, oh, my God, this guy's so incredible. they are the most sensitive, most, like, emotionally unstable creatures.
Oh, God, I'm so glad they're not talent, because talent's not sensitive. Oh, my God, I'm so glad. I'm talking about everybody on this podcast.
I know what you're talking about.
I know what Listen. Hey.
It's getting hot in here.
It's the NBA Lockdown Podcast. What are we talking about, guys? We're off track. Let's get back on the rails
here. You just said Beyonce again, and I just lost my mind.
I know. I'm a single lady.
Cari's had a great week. I mean, she's got Beyonce, she's got Shaq tweeting the show at the end of the show today on First Take. So he was saying Skip was the sexiest person on that stage.
Well,
in that
clearly
set.
who? Yeah, exactly. Who is right? Listen.
Well, and she's got her new podcast with Jeannie Buss.
Jeannie gave me the real. You know that.
I know. Charles Barkley.
Charles Barkley was on. Listen. I interviewed Common. I had who else did we get? Josh, we had a bunch of people.
Cam Newton.
We had Cam. Hi. How do I forget Cam Newton? How rude is that?
You know why you forgot Cam Newton? You know why? Because he didn't carry you over the mud at the horse race. That's why you forgot.
That's why.
If it would have been you would have remembered.
I'd have been like, so he's amazing. He's a wonderful human. But anyway, I mean, don't be jealous. You my number one boo boo. Don't be like that over there in the corner. I hear hate.
I was like,
I hear the hate.
hey, here's what I'm gonna say. I remember when Cari said, "I'm getting my own podcast," but oh man, can I be a guest? Like, sure, you're gonna be one of the first. And then I see like this laundry list of super duper celebrities, and then I realize I look at maybe Cari doesn't have my right number. I text her, Cari, this is my number now.
Wait a second.
I changed it about a year ago.
Wait a second. Okay,
I changed it about a year ago.
It's been Charles Barkley, Common, Fabulous, Ed Reed, Cam Newton. You get it. You're
Jeannie Buss.
Jeannie Buss. I'm sorry. What should I do? You tell me.
I don't know, man. You know, Ed Reed's retired. He's got a lot of time on his hands.
Oh, get out of here. You know Ed's going hard in the paint. But anyway,
to be fair, Ed Reed's next week.
I mean,
you could have fit Amin in there.
You're
Come
right.
on.
Okay, Amin, you
just have to wait.
No.
Man, her guest list is so tight that she's talking about like stuff that's not even aired yet.
Yes.
What are we talking about?
Yes. Are we talking about practice? Listen, okay, I'm gonna have all you guys on because we're gonna do NBA lockdown on Be Honest, and we're gonna gossip and we're gonna do exactly what we're doing right now. Like it's gonna be so much fun. I can't wait. I cannot wait. George, are you in?
Can't do it.
You can't do it?
I'm in.
All right.
I'm in.
Romo, are you in?
Oh, in.
Okay.
Is Beyonce going to be there?
Yeah, you know what? I'll call her. I'll have her call in. You know I have them call in. You guys don't even want to miss it. I'm sorry. I mean, you're in too. I'm sorry. You're supposed to be one of my first guests. I apologize.
#hate hard.
He's just not famous enough. That's the problem.
I mean, you said it, Romo.
Wow.
You said it, Romo.
Wow. No, the gloves are off, huh? The gloves are off now. I'm not famous enough.
Romo, you said it, not me. I didn't say it, Romo.
I mean, I had to. You know, just be real with him. The whole podcast is about being honest, right? I got to be honest.
I mean, I know you've been doing those Levitard show spots, but there's a reason they had Billy Bob Thornton and David Duchovny on today when you're not on. I think that's what Cari's alluding to.
Oh, boy. Okay.
Oh man!
Yeah,
I think that's what Cari's alluding to. That they have two A-list movie star, TV stars on today, and you're not the guest co-host today on the Levitard show.
You guys want to hear something funny too? They asked me if I wanted Jerry Ferrera, and I was like, nah, I'll pass.
Turtle? Wow, you're hating hard on Turtle?
Listen,
how do you hate hard on Turtle?
Because I thought to myself, honestly, you guys, it's crazy. It's not that I wanted, because you know, like a month from now, I'll be calling saying, "Can you call in Jerry?" But we had so many guests, I had to say no. I'm sorry.
Oh, man, you got some 2% problems.
I do have some. I have high-class problems. It's Beyonce's fault, though. Because once me and Bae, once I took that picture with Bae, everybody was like, hey, I'm available for you. Seriously, I'm not even kidding. It just happened.
No, I believe that.
I touched the hem of her garment.
You even...
I touched the hem of her garment.
I'll be right now. I'm like in my kitchen doing a little happy dance.
No, seriously.
Just saying
someone tweeted me once I met her. They said, Cari, moving forward, you will no longer have a bad hair day, a hangnail. You'll never ever be poor. You have touched the hem of her garment. Your life from now on will be changed forever. You've had an experience. Yeah, it was more. It was like I was like, okay, I agree. And ever since then, guys, things have been great. You guys want to touch my hem?
Yes, I do. Like if you were here right now, I'd be freaking out. I'd be like, talking really hot.
Wait, are we talking about practice? Are we talking about practice?
Yeah,
this whole podcast is off the rail.
Are the Hawks and the Cavs playing tonight?
They are. And
you know what the Hawks need? You know what the Hawks need? They need you, Cari, because you've touched Beyonce's hemline. I mean, they need a little. Okay. They need some magic.
Okay.
They need something.
I think tonight. I'm serious, and I'm going to call it, George. I think tonight the Hawks are going to win. I'm going to go out on a limb and say they're going to win.
It's not crazy. And you know what we'll do is in 60 seconds, we'll debate it some more here on the NBA Lockdown podcast.
What are we talking about?
Geico presents Strange Savings Stories.
Astronomers detected an interstellar transmission. It stated, Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more. The implications were staggering. Was the cosmos telling us we could all save hundreds on car insurance with Geico? Or did their radar merely pick up a signal from the nearby Rufus and Clyde's morning show? We may never know.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Welcome back to the NBA Lockdown podcast alongside Cari champion Ramona Shelburne and Amin Elhassan. I'm Jorge Sedano. All right, so we've got game number 2 of the Eastern Conference Finals here. The Hawks, look, they're in an awful situation. Obviously, they go down 0-2 and then having to go on the road. This thing is pretty much a wrap. Now, I happen to think it's kind of a wrap to begin with because DeMarre Carroll, even if he can play, he's not going to be the guy he was, who was the most consistent player for the Hawks this postseason. Just some quick numbers here on LeBron James' teams. Went up 2-0 in a best-of-7 series. They've swept 6 times. They've won in 5 times, in 6 twice, in 7 once, and have never lost a series when they've gone up 2-0. Kyrie Irving is questionable for tonight's game, a game-time decision. So is DeMarre Carroll. So, Ramona, what are we thinking here in terms of game 2?
I say throw all that out, and the Atlanta Hawks win tonight. It's just something. I think that's a team that's a proud team that has rallied in the past. They're so dependent. I mean, they need DeMarre Carroll out there. I don't know that he's going to be able to play tonight. I know he's officially game time decision, but it just feels like I just think teams like that, they just don't roll over. Like they're going to get one of those games at home. They've done too much this year. They've got too many good character guys on that team. They don't roll it. Plus, Kyle Korver has looked real tired in this series, I think. And at some point, he's going to have a Kyle Korver game.
Right, he's going to find his shot. Yeah, I agree.
They get this one at home. I don't think it's a long series either. I didn't think so even before DeMarre got hurt, but I think they get one at home. I think they make one last stand here.
Yeah, Romo, I agree. I think that Korver will find his shot eventually. Like, he has to. So, and this would be the perfect time. I call tonight that they win, and I say Al is he'll be our hero for the night. You know what I mean? I feel like he's just going to come through because he always does at the end of the day, even though I think he's the most underrated big man and people totally disrespect him, and I do not know why. But I feel like tonight they get this game. And, I'm going to call them, as our boy Brian Windhorst called them the other day, the Spurs light. So they'll institute that Spurs offense, and they'll be Spurs light tonight, and perhaps, they'll pull it out.
Yeah, man, I just don't know. I know we say that Kyle Korver's shot's going to drop. Just 13 games in, I'm still waiting for him to look like Kyle Korver from the regular season. DeMarre Carroll is questionable. It's a game-time decision, I believe, for tonight's game. Without him, they get really thin, right? Now you got to play Bazemore more minutes, and he's probably accustomed to playing. And you got to play, maybe more Mike Scott minutes, or those type of things.
That would be terrible.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I mean, I just don't see it, man. I think that unless DeMarre Carroll come out there and do cartwheels and backflips, I think this is going Cleveland as well. I think they go down 0-2.
I mean, but let's remember what Cleveland actually has on the court right now. I mean, like, besides LeBron James, who's been awesome, right? Who's elevated his game. Like, they're still out there with, 40% of Kyrie Irving, no Kevin Love, Matthew Dellavedova playing a starring role. This isn't like a big powerhouse, fully strength team here, right? This is still, they're still doing it with duct tape, I think when you look at the Hawks, like, as much as they got injuries, so does Cleveland.
That's perfectly said.
This is a big powerhouse.
But they got the one guy who needs to be healthy. Mm-hmm. That's the thing. They got the one guy who needs to be healthy, and everything else doesn't really matter.
LeBron James has been that guy. I mean, when you look at all those great teams of the past, right? When Michael Jordan was in his prime, you got guys like Judd Bushler, Steve Kerr, Paxson, right? These guys are not stars in the NBA, but when you have that guy on your team, he elevates those role players to new levels. I mean, we would not be talking about Matthew Dellavedova right now, and I'm not trying to throw shade on Delly, but this is what LeBron James is doing right now. This is how good he is.
I mean, we can. I mean, what was he doing the other day? What was that alley-oop he was trying to throw the other day? Like, who was he throwing that to? He threw it to, like, the middle of the paint.
He threw the baby Jesus in heaven.
I mean, seriously, like, what was that all about?
Yeah, no, but hey, man, hey, if LeBron can take Boobie Gibson and Danielle Marshall and beat like this Pistons powerhouse team that've been to the finals, 2 years in a row and stuff, this right here is not that hard. This is probably the easiest opponent he's had in a conference finals. Is that something we can all agree on?
Yes. Things have certainly broken their way because they've just been, even though they're dealing with injuries, so's everyone else in front of them.
Yeah.
I just think, like, a guy like Kyle Korver, I know he's tired. I mean, in the regular season, he shoots 49%. In the last 5 games, he's shooting 29% on his three-pointers. I mean, that's pretty precipitous drop right there. And I just think, even if he's tired, even if his legs are gone because he's been playing more minutes and chasing around LeBron and all, it's like he's still going to have a game. Like, the Hawks are not – they're more healthy than the Cavs are, even without DeMar Carroll. I got to know Kent Bazemore last year in Los Angeles, and I think that he's capable of having a game or two, or when he's put in the right position and told, just go guard that guy the whole time. I think he can do it. I think they have the kind of team that can get a game here. I don't think they can make it a series, but they can get a game at home, especially with their home fans there.
Yeah, look, get a game. I'm with you. I think that's possible. But here's the thing and Jacob Rosen, who covers Cleveland sports, had this on his Twitter today, and he broke down LeBron's minutes. And LeBron has played just under 10% of his minutes this season, which is a small sample size, without Kyrie or without Kevin Love. And in those situations, their net 48 minutes. Now, granted, it's a kind of a weird stat, but their plus minus, basically, their net 48 minutes is plus almost 15, which is the highest of any combination with just Love, with Love and Irving, with just Irving. So, granted, the defense gets a lot better when those two aren't on the floor. Their opponent's 48 is 84.3 on defense, and now they don't score nearly as much, but their defense gets more locked in when Kyrie and Kevin Love haven't been on the floor with LeBron. So I think that's what you're going to see. You're going to see a kind of a slower paced, isolation-heavy type game like we saw in this last game, and they're just going to – and LeBron's going to go and just try to be a creator off the dribble and either get it for himself or find guys like JR or Shumpert and guys like that open on the perimeter.
Should we talk about J.R. Smith?
Can we?
Right?
Sure.
I mean, you know what? When I was around them early in the end, they first went and got J.R. Smith. It was, you know, when you're in the locker room, certain things show up, right? Like, you don't see them on the court, but you see it in the locker room after. Like, that's LeBron's guy. Like, they played together since AAU ball. And all of it, like, when they're in the locker room, that's who he's talking to. That's who he's hanging out with. And it's been incredible to see this blossoming of J.R. Smith after what happened in New York and everything else that had been written and said about him. But I think, you know, like in the White House, right? The closer your office is to the Oval Office, that's how powerful you are. JR's locker is right next to LeBron. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's what's happening here, and it's staggering to watch, just knowing how bad things were with the Knicks.
Well, you know what? They mentioned this. We were talking about this the other day. Mm-hmm. Isn't it a bit of an indictment on Carmelo? You see how Iman and JR are playing when they're with LeBron, and then you always, and I'm not trying to slander Carmelo. I think he's a great guy, but he's always that does he really want it guy. He's always going to get that bad rap of is he a superstar or just a star? What kind of, does he really want it? You know, and to watch these guys, for lack of a better word, flourish under LeBron and really, as JR called it, be considered trash while they were with the Knicks is something. I mean, it is astounding, and I think it really is truly more of an indictment on Carmelo.
I mean, you're a front office guy, and you know this very well-worn truth. It's not always like good players play well no matter where they are, but role players need to be in a good situation, right? That's why, you know, at home versus on the road, when you get the fans cheering for you,
they need to be inspired. Right. They need that. The role players need that.
I mean, but it's not even led or inspired. Sometimes just the system doesn't fit. Danny Green was in Cleveland, and he was just a dancing clown on the sideline. And then he goes to San Antonio, and he's setting finals records. Like, it all depends. Sometimes guys who are a good fit in one place aren't a good fit other places. We had guys come to us in Phoenix who flourished and played great. Stephen Hunter and Raja Bell and guys like that. That in other places they really didn't. They were barely in the league, and so it all depends. When I look at J.R. Smith, though, I think he's the ultimate in the moment player. Because if we go back a couple of weeks against Boston, we're talking about A, you haven't hit a shot all series long, and B, you out here swinging your hand and hitting dudes and playing dirty, and J.R. Smith was the biggest villain on the planet. And then fast forward now, he had that game against Chicago where he played pretty well, the one where he hit that three before Derrick Rose hit the bank shot. And then we have last night's game, and all of a sudden, J.R. Smith, how has he been hiding all this long? He isn't hiding. The whole
he's
thing
up and
is
down.
this is who he is.
Well, let's revisit your discussion of Carmelo, though, Cari. Like, I remember J.R. Smith in Denver with Carmelo Anthony. Those are those great George Karl teams that Birdman and Dante. I mean, you look at
Chauncey.
He was great there. Chauncey. I mean, sometimes it's the situation. I don't know if it's just Carmelo not being a leader or not. I think things in New York were so sour. Nobody was in a good mood, right? I mean, like when things go real bad, like when you're on a podcast or a show and it's just so bad. Man, you either gotta say, I'm just trying to get through it, or I'm gonna carry this thing. Well, JR was in the mood of, I just gotta get through it when he was in New York.
There's a lot of hate hard, I feel like, there. Like, that was like a subtweet here on the podcast.
Yeah,
It was.
Without, like she just brought that
This is after she told me I wasn't famous enough.
This is weird because it's funny. It's funny because Ramona just sent me a text who said, let's just wrap this up quick. I don't want to be around these guys. That's crazy.
Well, we got a lot of hate hard there. We got Ramona subtweeting. We got Cari, who doesn't want to slander Carmelo, but is really hating hard.
This is exactly. I love the guy. I want him to get it done. I hate that he gets knocked. I think he give him a hard time. I'm just saying, to me, it could come across that way. It really could. And when JR put that Instagram up, I thought, well, what's my man saying?
I think he's saying about an indictment on Phil. Yeah. Isn't that an indictment
on
Phil
about
more
Phil?
than anyone?
I don't know.
Well, Phil used to be the guy who would resurrect the Cast-offs, right?
I don't know. With Phil. We carried heartstrings with Phil.
Phil's a saint.
Well, no, it's because Phil is the president. He's not the coach. I mean, look, that was the hallmark.
Right, but he's the personnel guy who traded him away for an 8th grader.
I mean, like with Phil, that's what Phil used to do.
Isola had that on Collins.
You're tired, you're angry, you're cast-offs. I mean, that's what Phil did with the Lakers and the Bulls. I mean, Dennis Rodman, right? I mean, the harder they were to handle, Phil was like, I got this. I mean, that was Phil's specialty. And so, but he's not a coach now. He's the president. And I think this is just, to me, a classic example of a team going bad and the people just losing interest, just jumping off the boat because they're not mentally strong enough to stay on it.
Okay, that could be
it.
You
know what? Isn't there also a part of it? Hold on, isn't there also a part of Phil? Phil was great at the cast-offs 20 years ago. Then maybe today's cast-offs are a little different for him. Like, I can't understand these young whippersnappers.
No, I don't even think it's that far. I think it's like those guys in New York knew they were not part of the future. They knew they were not going to be part of a triangle team. They weren't going to be part of a Phil Jackson team. And when you don't feel like you're part of the future, why are you going to work to change the present?
It's okay. Phil may be dealing him for, Dwayne Wade's kid is in 8th grade, I believe, or 7th grade. So, he may be available for the 2019 draft.
Well, if Shaq's kid is available, then we got
Shaq's
something.
kid, Shaq's kid is available. Right. D-Wade and Shaq did win a championship together. Maybe Phil's looking to get their offspring to win a championship together.
And with the number 4 pick in the 2015 NBA draft.
Maybe that's the way this thing is going to work out. All right, that'll do it for us. All right, Ramona, where can we find you coming up soon here? Where can people find your work?
On ESPN.com. I'm going to head down and do some radio in L.A. today. I don't know. People can look for me and find me on Twitter at RamonaShelburne.com. But no, not at Ramona. #/Ramona Shelburne, whatever that is. But nobody's looking for me. Nobody's looking for me. Come on now. I haven't taken pictures with Beyonce.
The person you're talking about in this podcast that you're subtweeting is going to find you, I think, at this point. So.
Yeah, exactly. Beyonce just called me. She said she didn't like your attitude. And for folks at home who want to hear more about Romo's poor attitude, you can...
Did I blow it? Did I blow it?
Yeah, she says it's over.
Did I miss my chance?
Yeah, you did. No,
What do I need to do? What do I need to do?
Okay, hold on.
Tell me.
You have to kiss her ring, she said. No, she's good. No, she said you're back. She's
done.
Cari's garment.
Yeah, she's back. Okay, wait, before we go, guys, let everybody know, check out my podcast, Beyond. It's on ESPN Radio app. So check it out. It's a lot of fun. I'm going to have the entire NBA Lockdown cast on, and it's going to be It's going to be amazing. And you can also subscribe with Beyonce, George. I'm coming to your house for lunch right now. It's
Let's
on
do it.
iTunes as well, folks. So I appreciate the help. Thanks for the plug.
You, me, the baby, and the wife will all have lunch together now. We're waiting for
You ain't got to put that in. I ain't trying to holler at you. Everybody know you don't want me. I don't want you either. Why you gotta put that in, George? Why you gotta put that in? Beyonce don't like it.
Hashtag hate
You are
hard.
totally hating on me right now, George.
No, I'm not. I put the daughter in because I know you've met my daughter and you were you loved her when we saw her in Miami.
She is a beauty, just like your wife and you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Definitely just like my wife.
Yeah. Not you. I take it back.
And so download Cari's podcast. Be honest. Right.
That's it.
Be
iTunes.
honest. And Amin, well, you can find Amin. Amin's on Twitter like 37 hours a day, I feel like. So you can find Amin on Twitter, at Amin ESPN. I feel like he's trying to take the title away from our boy Bomani Jones on who can be on Twitter longer in a day.
No, that guy, I don't have the stamina to go through Twitter like he does, man. I have to walk away and go, like, gain sanity. Bomani can just keep going with these people. And he gets a million more mentions than I do. I can't even imagine.
So that'll do it for us. You can find us all on Twitter, as you heard, at Ramona Shelburne, at Amin ESPN, at Cari Champion, at Sedano ESPN. We'll be gone till Tuesday. You guys enjoy the games and the holiday, and we'll talk to you then. Have a great weekend.
Thanks for listening to NBA Lockdown on ESPN Radio. For more great podcasts, check out the Pod Center page on ESPNRadio.com. Miguel Cabrera leads the Detroit Tigers into Anaheim to face Mike Trout and the Los Angeles Angels. The pregame's at 7 Eastern, followed by first pitch at 8, Sunday on ESPN2 and on ESPN Radio.